Okay. Yes. G. I think John wants yellow.
He knows. He's my teammate. If he doesn't know by now, I don't want him anyway.
Haha!
Oh my god.
I also want yellow. I'll flip you for it.
Okay. I mean, you won on the wheel, so now I win on this. No?
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
All right, but I'm picking orange.
Okay.
So we're all here, right? Good. Just Falana will be joining shortly. Okay. So I guess you guys get whoever won the coin flip can pick the sequencing if you want to be the A sequencing or the B sequencing.
We already picked.
Okay. All right. So A, you guys will be the first to ban.
What do you think, David?
I think it would be better experience if we went to separate voice chat so we can discuss with our teammate without having to type.
Yeah. So you guys can communicate through chat, all message. That's fine.
All right. I guess let's head to my Discord, Tim.
If that means we can stay here. But let's put everything that.
We
has
go,
anything to
we
do
don't
with
go.
the chat.
Land.
So the other guys left.
Yeah, I think they went to their private Discord pod.
Oh, okay. Then I guess we can stay over here since they left.
Yeah.
So they start, so they are banning.
They're probably discussing right now.
Do you guys have like a game plan versus them, or?
Sis-
But
we
I don't
do.
want to say it out loud.
I wanna know if
I mean, they
anyone
can't hear
told them
you.
if I play. I wanna know if anyone here told them that they play Eldar.
If the first ban is Elder, we will load as a red among us.
Yeah.
If they don't ban Aldar, I guess that's going to be your first pick, right? Because that's your main GHB.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Okay, Druki gets banned.
But they can pick it.
Well, you get a chance to ban it before they pick,
Yes.
right? So. Okay.
I don't think we need to ban Drukari.
Really?
But others, I don't think they will pick it. It was open that last game and they didn't pick it, and Ella kind of counters it.
But if you let them pick it, just pick a good faction that counters it.
If they pick Drukari, I mean, I would get the last pick. I wouldn't get the pick.
Like
first.
I'm already Eldar, which is pretty good against
Yeah.
Drukari for fuck them up the early game.
That
we
is
want
true.
to ban something that's bad for Elder to go against. I think we want to ban Sister. Do you agree?
Yes, the ban, yes, that we agreed, yes, were our sister, and in case they didn't pick it, then yeah.
I think if they pick Dark Elder, maybe John, you try to get orcs. You're pretty good with orcs.
I have a couple of picks I can go against them. I can go Orcs, I can go Sisters, I can go Nits, and they can only ban one of them. Well, they can ban two of them, right?
Yeah, they can ban one and then try to take
So
another.
they can pick one of them now, and then they can pick one and ban one. So actually, they can get rid of all of them if they know what they have to get rid of. But I don't think they. No, they have to pick Drukari as one of them, so they can only get rid of two of the counters.
I know. For me, I think this is the most interesting part of the tournament because I feel like there is some kind of strategy involved because it's like, okay, first pick is Eldar, and so you kind of are trying to decide what a faction
you-
would be a good counter to Eldar, right?
I
So
agree completely.
If they hadn't banned Drukhari, we would have picked Drukhari first.
Yes.
okay, wow, Necron, that kind of shocked me. Okay, I think that's Jesus's bane. I think that's actually like
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so now we
Prob-
get to ban. I think now we
So-
ban Drukhari.
Are you sure you don't want
We
to
could
ban?
also ban Admech.
Yeah. Like that's
Yeah,
what.
let's ban Admech, yeah.
Yeah.
right. So then they pick another.
And then they ban one, and then we get our last pick.
Oh wow,
Yeah, let's go.
Whoa.
I kind of
Whoa.
expected that.
Karn.
I kind of
Yes.
expected
We kind of left us everybody free choice of of what we preferred essentially, which is
that. I mean,
like,
I can play either Sister or Admech. They can only ban one of them.
yeah.
Or I can get Tyranids or Orcs or Chaos. Like everything is-
What do you feel? What does your gut say, Jonathan? Don't think. What does your gut say?
They banned sister.
Against those two?
Yeah, without sister, you can't pick.
Mm,
You can pick Drukhari. You can pick. You can pick Tyranids. You can pick.
I don't
what
really
you
like.
want,
I don't like Tyranids into this. I can't pick Drukhari because it's banned, but I can go either
they
Chaos,
banned it,
either
sorry.
Chaos or Admech.
Chaos, Admech, yeah.
If I'm going Admech, we're going for a bit of a longer game. If I'm going Chaos, we can rush them still.
Okay. Okay. If it's if you're going Admech, I try to go for a more early game centered beer, so in case the
I mean,
attack can defend you.
I can outscale both those factions on both Chaos and Admech. But on Chaos, I can also do a early game rush. Let's go
Let's go
Chaos.
on. Chaos,
We're going Chaos, yeah.
as you prefer.
I can't find them on the list here. Yes.
Wow. Okay, chaos.
Everything is looking good. I'm ready.
Yep. Do you wanna let us stay here while you comment, or it's better if you go in another drop pod?
If they want to be commenting on the game, it's probably better if we go in a different drop pod.
Yes, since they're
Yeah,
gonna
let's go.
see
Let's
the.
go to number 7.
All right, here we go, guys. This is a matchup of Lone Banana and the username YoRube is goes by Jesus is Lord. So I guess that's the tournament name that he registered under. But that's the orange player. So confusion there. We got Jonathan Yellow, Blue GMX. Okay, cool. Okay, so starting positions, we've got John and GHB in the kind of bottom left quadrant. Top right quadrant, you've got Lone Banana and Jesus. in the sort of top right quadrant. So pretty equal distances between each other, actually. Not a lot of wildlife. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wildlife, but not like Doomsday wildlife in the center or anything. Relics, let's look for relics as we see what the relics are. And we got a loyalty relic in the top right. That's going to be on the side of Jesus and Banana. And then I always have a heart. It's like a Where's Waldo kind of thing for me trying to find these relics. Okay, bottom right is a HP relic. And that's more on the side of John and GHB. There should be one more relic. I'm going to try to find it. Maybe in the center. Oh, yeah. So the contested relic is in between GHB and Banana. It's like in between, halfway between both their bases. So that'll be interesting to see if they fight over that. John's Gone Chaos. Pretty straightforward build. Is he going cult first? No, Or. Of course. You always go Or first. That's like duh. But the icon kind of looked like a cult. Or first from Eldar. That's pretty straightforward. Eldar. Most games you want to go Or first. And then we got a book first Astra on Arctic Pipes. Interesting. So didn't get lucky to get the Arctic Science, but I did get Arctic. Necron was defaulted onto Desert Trader and went book first. Now I will say this. I mean, I played a lot of games with John. Decent player in my eyes, but one area I do know that I've seen of his playstyle, he tends to not scout. Like he'll build his 3 bases or his respawn. He tends not to scout outside of his spawn or his bases that he builds up. And I always feel like that is kind of a weakness in Gladius, because the better knowledge you know when the enemy's sort of coming your way, the more prepared you can be. And a lot of times his bases are undefended. So hopefully he doesn't get into that jam, but I'm just kind of basing that out there from experience, what I've seen from him as a player. But hopefully he's learned his ways and he's not going to do that, because I think that could cost his team the game if he gets, with his pants caught undone or whatever. Now, I don't know too much about Lone Banana and Jesus. I did see one of their games where they fought Nips and Trisco. And for the most part, it looked like they did a fairly good economic kind of mid-game, late-game production build. And they sort of just overpowered Trisco and Nips. So depending on this next building, most likely will dictate what sort of building or what sort of build the Elder player is going for. So there's some a robot party kind of in between John and JHB. That could be problematic if John gets rushed, which you never know. I mean, anything can happen in this game, but he did go book first, so probably not a rush coming from Necron. If it was a rush, you would have saw like a Cybercore right away, and then maybe another Cybercore into like a power or something like that. and also AM is going book first into ore, so definitely no rush coming their way. But you always do like a kind of a mid game push if somebody's not defending or respecting their defense at their base. All it takes is 5 to 6 units, and your base could be in jeopardy. Guardians are fighting in the cover area. Ooh. And that is very unfortunate. I do not like to fight in the cover. He's going to lose a Guardian. Because there's just too much models. And I mean, if it was just one of them. But, he didn't have vision of the forest here. And when you're fighting cultists, sometimes they come in lovely groups of 3 batches. So in this case, he got the 3 batch, I think. So maybe a little too aggressive here with the Guardians. You really got to be mindful of fighting in cover at the start with Guardians. Their re has been passed. You can ask for a re at turn 6. So if they were still on turn 6, they could actually use their re, which, losing a Guardian this early probably justify for a re in a tournament setting. So he was hoping that maybe they would not attack him, but I'm pretty sure he killed one of the cultists, I think. Or maybe he didn't. I wasn't paying attention. So maybe that's why he chose not to attack them, perhaps. But that kind of sucks. That's going to slow down his special resource acquisition. Although he has 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, I forgot Eldar can shoot a move. I was like, I played too much Dark Eldar. I'm like, you can't do that with Dark Eldar. Not a lot of special resources from Astra, though. You just have literally 3. So that's pretty low at turn 10. But he is bogged down with dealing with Poxwalkers, although he does have his city to kind of back him up here. Then you got cultists, which is kind of annoying, but it looks like those Poxwalkers are going to go down. Should be okay because he didn't aggro the cultists. So we got the early second city from Chaos, and kind of like the Ottoman build, which is basically getting a book in the second city going to boost your research. So I will say this about the game. I mean, there's some really good players in the community, and a lot of players have sort of perfected the good builds. So what builds are generally, the best way to define a build is a sequencing of buildings you build in the first 30 turns or whatever. And you could also say your tech choices also kind of fall under a build, but in a sense, that's what when people refer when they're playing this game, and they might say, oh, I was trying out a new build, or my build that I used on you worked really well. So they could be referring to they did a certain tech path and they went differently on their build order with buildings. So new players are wondering, what does build mean? Descry keeps talking about builds. That being said, too, if you're a new player, asking a vet player on, some good builds for a faction is not a bad idea, because they're basically, like I said, they've been thoroughly tested, most of the builds, and they're pretty good. So the thing that you just have to do well is utilize your army, basically, because once you understand how to do optimal build, that will give you a good research, good economy, good army, and then you just have to kill your opponent. Because sometimes when new players start, they struggle with that concept of a good eco, good build. They don't know what to research. But yeah, Gladius is definitely a multifaceted game. And the interesting part is there's lots of different strategies that people have adapted or believe in Gladius. Some people like me, I'm very my core belief in being to win a lot in this game is a couple cores. Mobility, I think that's like number one for me. I got to be able to move my units fast and efficiently, because that's how I find weak points or opportunities. Basically, if I have a mobile force, I can exploit that. If I have a slow force, I can't, and then I'm more limited, and my opponent is also having an easier time countering me. Scouting, target focusing, these are all skills that players will develop and get better when they play this game. And that usually comes over time. So that's the thing, is it's like anything. I would say, like, if you play a sport, you know, people get very good at particular sports because they usually put a lot of hours and time practicing. So again, this tournament sort of is rewarding those players that have put a lot of effort and time in getting good at the game. And it's also fun to, see how, what these players have accomplished, right? So, and I think so far everybody has been very positive with the tournament. Outside, like the people spectating the tournament, I think you guys are enjoying these casts, these streams, and so that's great. So basically, let us know in the comments and the likes, get the algorithm up there. Also, another thing is, if it's popular, that also sends a good message to Proxy, which they might want to make a more of an interest in balancing the game more for PvP, or maybe even doing an official host for the game competitively. Who knows? But I think that's where we got to come together, and I think I think Gladius right now is in a good spot. I mean, there are some questionable units that might need to be balanced a bit in the game, but I think overall the game is in a good state. But as we go back into the game, the reason why I'm kind of side talking here is there's not a lot going on. I mean, I could talk about, you are getting a fairly early Lord's Quarters, which is the hero building for Chaos. The real question is, what type of hero is he going to go for? And again, that's the beauty of this game. A lot of players debate whether, go with the MOP first, go with the Warforged first, or the Chaos Lord. And there's all very valid points for all of them. And that's kind of the interesting part of when you play Gladius. You can kind of tailor your liking to how you like to play and your strategy. It looks like we're getting Eldar infantry build. So the question is, does he have a good power gate? If he has a good power gate, that means Warlocks will be definitely in the game. I'm looking right now. I don't see any power relay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so right here is excellent. He has Savannah power, which is 30% plus the 20, so it's like 50 once he gets the special resource. Oh, he even has desert right next, so that's like, yeah, 60. So yeah, he should definitely capture this gate and then get a food gate, which he has right here as well. So literally he has a god economic gate for going the Warlock build. And the Warlock build is really powerful because it doesn't require ore, and it's a dedicated economy and power, mostly with Warlocks. So it allows you to transition also into other stuff as you drain your power reserves. You can kind of then go back to other infantry, or the way I play, I even do a mixed build version of it. So we'll see how that pans out. I do like that choice, and I believe we are going to see vehicles coming from John most likely, even though I don't see any production military buildings yet. But I can assume you just probably want to go Forge Fiends to. But Rhinos would be really good here, so hopefully he gets some Rhinos that could transport the Warlocks. So we got the expansion building called Mechanus. His engineer is going to be popping out, and then he's getting the first armory. I really like Demos's build. If it's on our video upload, but he gets early armory before Cult of Mechanus and transports that engineer quicker to the expansion. So it saves like a turn, which is really nice. And it also gives you more clearing and better against a rush if you build early Manufactorum. Necron has chosen to go with some death marks. I really like this kind of new unit in the game. I think that teleport ability, though, it's a 10-turn cooldown, is well worth it. Like when you get into situations where you just need a little more damage, this is a perfect thing to utilize, and you're able to get that clutch damage when you need it. But I really like that ability. And they look really cool too, by the way. And what else can we talk about? So if I were to nitpick here, indulge my backseat gaming here, I really would like John to get a couple more outposts. I mean, this side outpost looks like he could take and the city could cover him, but I guess, I mean, he hasn't explored it, so you don't know if wildlife are going to grab that or not. Even if they do, the city should be range 2 and attack it. But yeah, Chaos has kind of a little bit, not a lot of gates. I know Eldar lost a Guardian, so it's understandable that they don't have too many specials. I mean, Astra, very low amount of special resources, and he shouldn't really, although his spawn area kind of sucked with all the ruins. I'll give him that. Lone Banana, as Necron, you should always have decent amount of special resources. I mean, your Necron warriors heal every turn. He has okay number, like, yeah, not bad. Yeah, so acceptable, but I would just say, like, going into maybe the championship game, like I'm sure the championship players will be very, like, they're going to utilize that early game to the fullest. They're going to get as many specials as they can. So you're going to definitely see that in more high level groupings. But let's keep going here. So, and going back to like why it's important to try to grab a lot of specials is in the early game you have very little economy. So these +2 here, +2 of this resource, +2 of this resource does factor in a lot in the early game. It kind of multiplies a lot over all these turns. And for certain type of builds, it allows you to be more effective, either more aggressive or whatnot. So that's why, I mean, we're talking competitive, the competitive side of this game. It is important to try to be, efficient, killing wildlife and securing these special resources. And that's my kind of main point. But we'll see. I mean, both teams, like, Lone Banana has kind of a small special resource acquisition, and then John as well. So it's kind of even on both sides. And then Eldar and Necron are about the same kind of level of outposts. So turn 18, let's take a look at, we have 2 cores, which is nice. I mean, that's to get those spiders out quickly. The primary thing. Finally get an armory down, and we got an MOP coming from John, which will be really good for counterattacking or alpha striking. Basically, the MOP can do like a big buff up attack, and then you go in with an alpha strike or a counterattack, and you annihilate a lot of stuff. Very powerful, especially powerful in the Forge Fiends setup. And Eldar is growing too quickly. Does he have 3 cities? He doesn't. Okay, turn 19. He needs to get his first city down. Okay. got to get that power city too. So what city is he going for? Okay, gets his food. Yeah, I like to get my food first. Yep, that was the correct play. He's got to be careful. There's robots in the middle, but with 2 cities on the flanks should be fine. But you never know what type of day the bad robots are having. And I'm going to just go get a drink. I hope nobody don't mind. So the game will just be... What is going on here? Why? Oh, okay, he's trying to get his 3rd base down, I think. But, like, I don't understand. He's producing it. It's costing him money. But it's disabled. I'm not sure I understand this play. I don't see cultists out. I'm not sure what John's doing. Now I'm neutral. I can't tell John, hey, John, what are you doing? Your building's disabled. I don't know if that was a misclick or what's going on, but his MOP is not building. I mean, I would love to tell him, hey, John, do you know what's going on? So, yeah, so basically he paid to build the MOP, but his building's disabled. I mean, is he running out of power? I didn't even check that. No, he's 59. Yeah. So I think he made a mistake. I don't see the reasoning. Like, yeah, I don't get it. I mean, maybe after the game he can explain that, but yeah, anyways, I'm going to step out, guys. So the game will be going for like 2 minutes without me rambling on. So enjoy. The chair is now the lead commentary of this game for a little bit. All right, guys, the chair is no longer commentating. I'm back. I'm so glad to be back. And what are we seeing right now? Pretty much nothing too exciting. We got a scout sentinel that's been produced. GHB is still in the minus population, or the population penalty. I know I'm OCD when it comes to that. I'll put up with it for maybe one turn, but like I liked my cities running at like optimal production, and but apparently GHB does not care. So he's got his 3 cities down. Maybe he'll do the Saurian arrivals, which will boost his growth, so help him get into his cap, so he's not taking a negative hit here. We got 2 barracks, got some food coming down. And are you, excuse me, you had GHB, you had a warlock build right here, my friend. Desert pipes. You could spam warlocks. Okay, so it looks like he wants to go mixed build, because going ore, that's the only thing I could think of why he would go to this city and not go for the power and get warlocks. I think warlocks would have been a way better choice since he's gone the 2 barracks, but we'll see if it works for him. FYI, some of the main factions I play currently are Space Marine, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Tyranids. Those are the factions I've kind of spent a majority of my time playing since I got back into Gladius. And as I got back into Gladius, I decided to kind of host a tournament where players can battle each other out and see who is supreme. No, just to have a friendly kind of competition and promote the game and promote PvP. I think this is sort of the best way to, get new players interested in the game. And yeah, I think it's good for the game. But I will say this: I played a lot against Chaos, a lot against Necron and Astra, so I am familiar with those factions. But with builds in particular, I'm a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to the factions I main. So MOP is finally, I guess, being now produced. So that was a weird thing when it was not being produced but paid for. Turn 23. They're still pretty far apart. This is not a bad move. I mean, he can kind of secure that loyalty relic, which will be quite nice. So that's the contested relic between the players, basically, that are like, it's like halfway between enemy team and friendly team. So we're gonna see like a mech build from Astra, and probably we're gonna see Race. Canoptic Race, probably. So you got the free gate tech, I could imagine, so he wants to get information. If a unit tries to go over there and kill it, he'll be able to kind of click on that unit, look at the upgrades. Does it have armor? Does it have an upgrade on the armor penetration of the weapon? That usually will tell players the type of build they're going, meaning like the tech choices and what type of unit they're particularly trying to focus on. So that is kind of why Elder likes to do that. We got a robot being a jerk, slapping his expansion around, and running into everybody's favorite, the Poxwalkers. Ooh, throwing grenades in the forest. Man, you must hate those Poxwalkers a lot. Okay, and they're still alive after 2 plasma grenades. Yikes, those are tough Poxwalkers. Yeah, the why I think a lot of people don't like Poxwalkers, because they can literally slow your start dramatically, because they don't do a lot of damage, but they do. They're able to tank a lot of damage that you do to them. Like any other wildlife would die in like 2 hits. These sometimes take 3 to 4. So that's why a lot of people hate them so much and get upset when they spawn next to them in the game. So we got we got a canoptic spider moving. I guess here. I mean, this is a relay pipe Necron tomb, so I assume that's going to be the 3rd city. We're finally gonna see some different units and Guardians. Nice. Okay, so we got a Dark Reaper out. Dark Reapers are really cool. I'm so happy Aldar got them. But it just gives them a nice range option, which their infantry lineup kind of lacks. I mean, yes, you could say the Rangers are your range, but they're like anti-infantry. A little bit of anti-monster, but not much. But Dark Reapers are really good. They're basically all-arounders, but they are flimsy. So they're kind of like, they have that Devastator kind of tankiness, meaning they can get taken out pretty easy if you don't have them in a secure kind of place on the battlefield. You teleport them over to John, I assume, to help John level up the MOP quicker. See if that was their plan. Let's go to their drop pod just to hear what their strategy is. So I'm going to mute myself so they can't hear me. But I'll let them know. Hi guys, I'm going to be muted, so I'm just listening in on your guys' conversation.
Sure.
All right, so we muted. They can't hear me.
Not talking much at the moment. Maybe they're complaining about Captain Robots being away.
Yeah, we're getting kind of fucked about that. Like, it's very fun that there is a whole line of Castellan robots all the way from the bottom to the middle.
Yeah, so those are the robots they're talking about.
They have less than 45 influence and less than 30 energy on the Necrons.
Left.
So what they're doing, the gate is telling, they look at the unit. If they go to the repair,
no,
it
I aggro.
gives them an idea of how much influence the Necron player has in the bank.
Can you kill this cultist?
I'm surprised John didn't get the make the. I feel like getting the make a chaos.
Should we kill the robot?
Make the chaos spawn is always the best pick on the first turn.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'm kind of curious why he wanted to choose the damage buff.
I want to clear this out.
Yeah,
before
I'm not a big fan of that. I think you want to always get the chaos spawn ability as your first pick with the early MOP, because he could have literally made a free unit right here, but he spec'd it with the damage thing. So
There is an artifact just in front of me, yeah.
just pointing that out there. This loyalty relic, he should make an effort to try to secure it. I mean, he has quite a bit of infantry. He could definitely easily, he has grenades, he can secure that. So I'm just kind of puzzled why he hasn't really done that. Going over to Jesus and Banana, they're still kind of...
I think with Necron the Fire Dragon are very useful.
So they don't. The Necroplayer did not get the relay pipe as a third city. Went for another ore. Interesting. All right, we're seeing heavy destroyers being produced. Yeah, I'll just take a little break, minute break here. That's another thing. He's got to be careful. Like, you do not want to lose a Dark Reaper to wildlife. Like, and it's
Of course he attacked me.
yeah.
Piece of shit.
I think like with Dark Reapers, you want to keep them with your army, like other troops. You want your
You need to
troops.
group your units.
Yeah, like John said, you got to group your units. Like, yeah, I think that's just a misplay. I'm not sure.
Ah shit. Ah gee.
So we're approaching turn 30 almost. Kind of a very slow paced game. So no like, you know, sim turn off, be turn 30. It looks like this looks like it could be a turn 40 sims off game. Just the way I'm seeing how slow everything is going.
They're here.
You can kill this Ember.
I wanna heal.
But if you go to this tile, you can shoot him and then you can heal next turn. Otherwise, he's just gonna run away and heal and then come back and kill you again. The other one will probably kill you again anyway, but what's to do about it? What is the silence?
The other thing I would say is, I'm nitpicking a lot here. You might as well sell like Mancatcher. I don't think it's very useful. It's more useful sold as influence, and then you got armor penetration
Man, that
again.
he's struggling.
MOP is not really meant as a frontline attacker. I think you could sell that for influence. He has a lot of influence.
Oh,
you
come
can see
on.
right there. So he could literally put an
is blind.
icon by a scroll for MOP, and then your
You really
benefit
can afford to spread your troops.
economically right now. Nothing's happening. You're not fighting another team. It makes more sense just to sell these items and put a scroll or icon on MOP. If you could do both, that should supercharge your eco quite a bit. But again,
You could, if you are okay with it, you can use both your Reapers.
I mean, the
to
trader's
heal
over
the side
here.
of it. But then you delay the healing of the other one even more.
Like I said, he could have rallied. He could have rallied his unit right off the go here. Next turn, go to trader, sell the items, buy the icon and scroll, and then he's kind of min-maxing his the slower game,
Fucked
right?
up. Should have first attacked the... Okay, так.
Всем привет.
I can... I
I
cannot...
usually crash this turn, but I would also kind of fix it this turn. I don't know. Should I cancel something?
Gotta turn my air conditioning on because it is hot today. So a little buzzing in the background, but I am too hot to cast this game without air conditioning. I'll probably turn it off once my room cools down. Seeing some fire dragons being produced. Obviously, that would help them kill the robots. Are we gonna see heroes? Mid-game heroes doesn't look like it. We're getting some artilleries made in multiple bases here, and we're seeing a lot of summoning cores being produced now. So I do think
Wait, he didn't die? Or
from the
miscalculated?
game that I saw from Lone Banana and Jesus, I
thought he had
feel
15
like
speed.
their economic game is their strongest point. One of their strongest points as players. So my prediction may be, I mean, if we look at, let's look at production. So we got one Manufactorum, another one finishing, that's 3. So you got 3 basically at this point. You got 3 summoning cores in the main,
No robot shooting me, please.
and then
Fuck.
that's 4th one coming down. So if you look at John, how many John have? Oh, he's in minus power. Okay, that's really bad. I don't know. I don't think he's aware. Oh man, that's terrible. I don't think he's aware that he's in minus right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me explain what's happening to John here. Because he's negative energy, this percentage, the 10% energy shortage, that affects everything in the city. Your resources, your
Second
production, and this thing goes up by 10% every turn that you're still in negative.
But not my own.
So it looks like he's changing it back to positive by disabling certain buildings. Why that's important is because this will go to 20, 30, 40, and then 50 at the cap. And that just totally obliterates your production and economy. So you cannot allow that to happen. That's literally a death wish if you just allow it to happen. So, and why did it happen to him? Well, he doesn't have a lot of special resources, right? There's a relay pipe literally outside his door there. There's one shard there. So if he was better at getting those special resources, he wouldn't be in this predicament at this point of the game. These would have added up over time in the early game. He would net a few more in the bank, like maybe 20 or 30 more power in the bank. And
Fuck.
so now he has to dedicate actually a power resource building. He needs to build that. And finally, we get a relic secured at turn 31. Okay. So a lot of wildlife, they have their loyalty relic in the top right. And I just want to say as a side note, it might sound like I'm being very critical with the players, but in reality, I'm just trying to give the best information and best, competitive information that I know to the people watching this. So it's not, I'm not trying to, attack up the players individually. It's more of just pointing out things that I see that could help them play better or have a better advantage. And at the end of the day, like, I mean, there's a lot of pressure in this game. You know, it's a tournament game, so sometimes you overlook stuff. Definitely is a possibility. So again, Basilisk expand into finally a tank. Research is 40, pretty good at turn 30. That's some good research there. Necron, we got 32. And then Chaos at 32. But it's a 2-base Chaos. I definitely prefer a 3-base. And almost 30 research for Eldar.
So.
I mean, he's got to get power resource down because the armory is going to put him back to -2 or minus. So now he's minus. To check if you're in the minus, you hover over. If it says per turn, it's not in the positive. You're going to be in the minus. So he's actually, even though it says 0, he's actually going to be minus. It says per turn minus 0.4. So he needs to also disable another building. So we see the edict being used here. Here's the thing I would say though. When I played Astra, I didn't like using my edict unless I had at least like 2 ore buildings. Because what that does is the edict that increases the ore output of ore extractors. So he just has 1. So I mean, I would have saved it once the second one came out. I think you get more bang for your buck, and you're not burning through your influence as much because you might want to take commander.
Maybe it's just an Necron, so if the SI is also on the right side,
Both are together.
But I would say though, I mean,
you more people to do backstab then.
as an
I can-
Astra main as well, I think the level of outposts Astra has is very low. And also like with John too, like I think if I was their like say coach or trying to give them advice, this is the areas I would be focusing on them to get better. Like you need to get more map control. I mean it's turn 33 and it is they're suffering. They don't have a lot of. Now Astra can get away with it a little bit better because of the edicts to kind of supercharge their economies, but still it does help when you're able to get special resources. Necron's doing a good job. I mean, he has quite a bit. And Eldar, I mean, that's their thing kind of, like they're supposed to be very good at grabbing lots of outposts. They have very fast movement for a starting troop, and they do a lot of damage, so they can delete wildlife really quickly. Kind of like I predicted. I said early in the game, this looks like a turn 40 plus sim off turn game. And we do have a scarab though that took this, so maybe we're gonna get a sim turns off early now. But it kind of looked like this was gonna be a long while until we got sim turns off. MLP in the bottom right again still have these items. I would have sold them and gotten something more decent.
This is going way too long for what I liked. I'm happy that I liked the
Not a
turquoise.
good look here. We got 2 armories basically offline. I understand because of the power problems,
No, I have 31 of research.
but that's. I mean, this is Not what you like to see as a Chaos player.
Here's the. I can probably hit the data smith to make the robot.
Well, what can I say? Let's look at bases. Going another barracks up here. So I'm unsure. Like, okay, let me explain. Elder is a main of mine. We don't see any armories. What was the purpose of going on here? Like 244 ore in the bank, 44 per turn. I mean, okay, if you make a couple of armories, maybe like a mixed build into Way Serpents, but we're not seeing that. So I'm not sure. What, like, to me, you get the power gate. That's also going to help your energy, but on top of that, you have access to warlocks now as a main component to your army, which I think is one of Elder's best infantry in the roster overall, you know. So I don't know. We now getting a Chaos Lord. Okay. Might have went Warp Smith because I mean he's doing vehicles. But yeah, I mean I like the Chaos Lord. I'm not against the Chaos Lord. I know some people don't like the Chaos Lord that much, but we first get the Canoptic Wraith out. I think the Chaos Lord does really well with infantry builds with Chaos. They're able to proc Bloated a lot, get boons. I definitely sort of like them in that kind of environment. Again, we're not in that environment. We got Hellbrutes, basically mass Hellbrutes. And we're seeing a lot of Fire Dragons and Dark Reapers being built, which will be kind of a better matchup, I think, against Astra. But again, Astra has artillery, so gotta watch out for that. I'm gonna let my chair do a little bit more of casting for me. So, you know, they haven't. I think it's gonna be turn 40-ish before we see a war turn, perhaps. So yeah, I'll be back.
Hey, Des, I finished dinner. If I can hop in there, let me know, man. I can cast with you. You are on mute, by the way.
All right, so sim turns has been declared. Finally, we're gonna see Some action. Okay. Hey sisters, can you leave the spectator slot so Falana could join to do the cast with me? Okay, perfect. Okay, man. So join. It's the tournament game. There should be an open spectator slot.
Perfect.
for
I
you.
just refreshed it. Yeah, I'm hopping in right now. Awesome.
Okay, so Sim Terms was called. War is turn 39, I believe. Yeah, 39. Okay.
39.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'll just bring you up to speed a little bit, and I'll summarize so far the game. A lot of kind of suboptimal things that happen, but overall, on both sides, sort of we're dealing with issues. We had John running into negative power. You can see right now John is only +1 in power right now with Chaos, mainly due to he didn't get enough special resources in his spawn area. The second thing, the Astra player, Lone Banana, also had the same kind of issue, not with power, but just didn't have that many special resources. But things are starting to get stabilized. We have first contact sort of in the Middle East with Necron. There are teleported Dark Reapers in the mix here to help John out, but John is still kind of farming in the bottom right. So he's sort of out of position, but he's not too far from his bases.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, I did notice, first thing I did notice right off the bat was that Jonathan is not on his usual 3 base. He's only on 2 base this game. That is a little bit different for his style from what I remember.
Yeah, for sure. And we played, we played with John a lot. But he is the type of player that likes to do those kind of fundamental builds where he does like 3 bases and then he goes with his loyalty buildings, and he's even done like the 2 high tyrant build, which is really slow but very powerful in late game. But this time around it's very interesting. He's only got 2 base. He started with the MOP. The one thing I kind of said in my beginning part of the game, he built the MOP. He got the buff skill first, which I thought was kind of a misplay, because when the MOP comes out, usually you can kill a gate or kill a wildlife and then get a free unit with the possession where chaos spawn. Yeah, so he didn't do that. Next thing is he has these items on the MOP. He could have sold those items, and he had a lot of influence to buy like an icon or a scroll, which would have helped his eco during this kind of slower game that we're seeing here.
That is a very good point. I totally agree with you on that aspect. He's got items that are not going to benefit the Master of Possession whatsoever. I mean, let's face it, Mancatcher is an item that the first chance you get, you just want to sell it in the shop and hope to get something better.
Yeah, it's an influence sell.
Yeah. Now, his science is on par with what I would say to be, the turn of the game. So he's not doing too bad.
Yeah, science is good. Science is good.
However, I will say I do like the entropic. I do like the icon play. Getting that icon early, getting that +8 influence.
Tantalizing icon, yeah. The +8 influence per turn.
The
other thing is I know he's going to Chaos Lord. Now I love the Chaos Lord, but I will say this: the Chaos Lord really shines in those mix or infantry builds from Chaos, because what the Chaos Lord can do is it has a skill where it boosts your boon potential for your infantry. And I don't know if you caught some of the game that was played today, where Ottoman's Terminator infantry basically were getting bloated every single time they killed something, because the Chaos Lord was basically giving them a very high roll for that.
Chance. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at his army, it's all hell brutes and mechanical stuff. So I almost feel like, why not a Warp Forge, right? Because then you have the healing. It just seems make a little more sense. But I mean, I like the Chaos Lord. I'm not saying it's a bad choice, but I feel like for the army composition he has, I feel like a Warp Smith is probably better.
I think a Warpsmith would generally be stronger here. I remember going Chaos Vehicles and not getting a Warpsmith early enough, and I definitely felt the pain. I'll just say it that way. I do like the idea of the Master of Possession having the aura. However, because I value scouting, and I think most players should, and sometimes undervalue it in a PvP setting, I believe that getting at least one level in possession and allowing you to get those chaos spawns out who have a movement, I believe, of 5 or 6, which is really big. They also have no movement penalties crossing terrain of all kinds. So that allows you to get amazing map control. It allows you to have units that are very good at clearing wildlife. And it lets you just get good information on your opponents, which can be the difference between winning or losing a game. So I think that I do agree with you that getting at least 1 point in that early possession will kind of go a long way. Now, I do see he has now 1 point in it at this point. However, I think, like you said, it should be your first one.
Yeah, 100%. And I think almost every veteran would agree. I don't think it's even a real. It's like your first skill with a Space Marine captain. It's gonna be the deeds of glory, to farm the influence. Yeah, you're not gonna go healing and like attack sword, that makes no sense. But going, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, actually, while we're on the subject of captain, maybe we can leave this topic for another time, but I was going to say from the games I've previously seen, I have been quite surprised to not see a lot of Space Marine action in the tournament so far, but I'll just kind of throw that out there for now, maybe for some food for thought.
Yeah,
but,
I agree. Because, I feel like Space Marine gives you so much utility in a game, especially in a 2v2. I mean, let's go over it. You got scan, you got orbital drop, you got orbital strike. I mean, you got so much utility to support your teammate with, and I'm very shocked that we've seen zero Space Marine players except for the first game with Trisco. Trisco was the only one that picked Space Marine.
Interesting, gotcha. Yeah, well, I definitely missed that one. However, I've just been surprised by their absence up to this point, and I definitely agree with the points that you've made. I have noticed that a big deal on the map can be if, let's say, in a 2v2, you have the two teams spawn, and one team's ally one team has a teammate closer on the map than the other team. That team will generally have a pretty big advantage because the team that has less distance between each other can group up quicker, start to clear the map, and start pushing towards middle where they're going to get map control and general information, and they're the first ones that could organize a 2v1. And basically, a Space Marine player allows you to do that every single game if you want to go that route, giving you a really big advantage besides all the other aspects that Space Marines have kind of going for them. So yeah, it's very interesting so far.
One other thing I would say is, I mean, if I think most people know kind of my play style, but Jonathan says in chat, damn, sorry, forgot we moved the war turn. Okay, so a little misplay there. I was just gonna say, one thing is, I really like mobile armies, and what I'm kind of surprised is, I was like, okay, I see the Eldar player not wanting to go into Wave Serpents with his infantry, fine. I just expected maybe John to supply him with some rhinos, right? And I think, having, if John was able to get a few early rhinos over to him, he would have a much more mobile army, which John only has one rhino. So I think that's going to be another kind of a downer, is that we do have a Forge Fiend being created right now. So yeah, to go into that, I will say this though, there's no doubt that the MOP Forge Fiend combo is one of those strongest sort of alpha striking, counterattacking combos in the game, and that could be their ace in the pocket. But again, oh wait, they're asking, do they reload? So where?
scarab. I think all he did was attack a scarab, I believe, but
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. It's just a scarab, it's just a scouting unit, and it's not dead. So I would just say keep going. Unless an actual unit died.
I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Did any actual units die though?
I don't think so.
Oh, he took an undefended outpost.
Right,
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I mean, if both teams are in agreement, then I don't need to step in and like rule it or whatever. The only time I would get involved if one team wants to challenge and they want to back it up with a rule and they don't want to compromise the other team, then I have to step in and make a judge call or whatever. But it looks like they're fine with it. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna make it work. Yeah. So actually, another thing I have I've also been surprised by basically the very thing you're talking about. I've been surprised by a lack of utility and basically using transports for infantry armies. For example, the game I saw earlier today saw a bunch of basically I saw a Chaos Infantry army that was not supported by Rhinos and Dirgecaster, which I think would have
would have made a big difference. I actually talked to Ottoman after the game about that, and I think later he did realize the benefit of it. And yeah, so I'm not sure, kind of why they didn't utilize at least the sisters, because they had a few transports from Battle Sisters, but they didn't really even utilize that, which again I think was a missed opportunity.
That definitely surprised me. The lack of transports, the lack of things like Dirgecaster, which Chaos had access to, and also the lack of healers. When you see yourself facing an artillery army, which is basically used to essentially slow you down and basically win the war of attrition battle. Having only one healer with that humongous ball of infantry is just simply not going to cut it. I wanted to see 2, 3, 4 healers out there to just basically keep that army indefinitely and constantly, sustained. Because let's face it, bloated is nice, but you can't really rely on it all the time. Your units can't land kills all the time, especially when you're facing a tough vehicle force. So that's just something that I think you should plan for. And I was surprised, to just not see that kind of coordination there. I mean, it's sometimes easy for me to just kind of backseat game, and just kind of comment on these things. But if you're gonna play a good 2v2, I think the strengths of each army should complement the weaknesses of the other, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that's the real beauty of watching these kind of matches.
Speaking of that same topic, NRP and Lost One are the only team that I've seen sort of really focus on, like, if you watch some of their games, they have done where one team will support the other team with transports. I think in both their games they actually did that, which again, it makes it like, here's the thing: if you're not comfortable doing a mixed build, so people that are watching this video might not understand what a mixed build is. So a mixed build is kind of a build where you are building one particular branch of unit, but you're also mixing in another branch that is kind of counter opposite to it. So a basic example is infantry with some armory stuff. And namely that would be maybe transports, but that's now considered, you have kind of multi-purpose units all around, and the reason why not a lot of players go that route is because it's a lot harder to min-max your economy fully when you're diversing a lot. But the payoff to it is you have, like, in some cases, increased mobility, better utility in some cases with certain units that you don't get when you just go mono into one branch. But yeah, in a team game, you can kind of also get around that. If you don't want to do a quote unquote mixed build, you have your teammate go a particular mono build, such as say vehicle build, and they usually can tech into the Chimeras or Rhinos or whatever and supply you that necessity that you need. But that's what me and Falana are basically kind of discussing, that that mobility transports do play a really big factor in the game. It's multi-purpose. It's getting your troops quicker to the battlefield, protected from artillery. You can put them in cover, take Overwatch off. They're usually safe if there's units in front of them, and they're not going to be spotted. It hides it, so you give your opponent fake information. Maybe like they see a group in the open, but you have maybe 3 units in one force spot. So you actually have a much stronger spearhead force than the opponent thinks you have. And the fact that most transports move 4 and then your troop comes out of it, and that's 5 hexes of range, right? So that's even farther than some of the most mobile units in the game. Yeah.
And because I think utilizing Fog of War is one of the biggest things when it comes to the psychology of this game, as we talked about earlier, psychology is very important. Being able to have 4 units in one transport means you just reduce your army size by 3 hexes. Okay, you basically put 4 infantry into 1 vehicle. That means your army is now like it only takes a quarter of the space, let's say, for example, that it normally would. This may not seem like a big deal to most people, but it really is when it comes to hiding your army, when it comes to getting it through choke points, when it comes to the increased movement, just like you mentioned. These things really add up when it comes to engagement and being at the right place at the right time. I mean, 1 turn can make the difference between winning or losing a game, and having that increased movement is definitely going to help with that. And what I also like is some of the transports have
skimmer,
for example, like they have like extra movement because they don't, for example, get hampered by things like water, right?
Yep.
Like, for example,
Chimera has amphibious.
Has amphibious trait, exactly. So you can move over water tiles, and you can move over river tiles, which can really lock down your infantry. For example, if you have rivers let's say you have 4 rivers on the way to your opponent's base, that can delay your attack by 5-6 turns, depending on how many units you have. That's a very long time. Now, chimeras can not only cut that down by a lot, but even increase your movement in the first place. So instead of you getting to your opponent's base in, let's say, 9 turns, you can cut it down to 3 to 4 turns with a chimera. That's a really, really big deal when it comes to a timing push. Now, some people may say, yeah, but if I'm building chimeras, I won't have as much infantry. That's true. But my argument is, what's the point of having more infantry if they can't get there in time? If you can't get it into the right hexes where you need them to be.
Well, not only that, I would say too, like, if things start going not your way, if you have transports, you can get out of there and limited losses, right? Like, so you might not totally win the battle, but it maybe was kind of equal trading to some point. But then once you feel like you're in a bad position, you just get out of there and you retreat, and you take minimal losses that way. And I've done that lots of games. But I think, again, we're kind of going over the benefits of the mobility and transports. But I do think, it's working for NRP and Lost One. They're already in the semifinals. You
mean VRP, right? I think his name is VRP.
Sorry, VRP. Yeah, I apologize. But I'm, we're just giving a good example here. Now we do have Astra slowly moving out, creeping into Blue's forward expansion with the Loyalty Relic. Now I really like Canoptic Race, and maybe it's because, again, I love the mobility of them. They're just so good. I love the fact that they have, let me see,
33%, I think 30% invuln, and they can pass through units as well.
Right, the pass through is huge, and they move through cover as well.
Yes.
And it's just such a, it's such a good unit.
Yeah, they are very, very powerful. What I also really like about them is they have the Wraith form, so they get 33% invuln damage reduction. They also have a Living Metal, which allows them to heal 2 HP per turn. You can upgrade that to 4 HP per turn. So if you're ever fighting, let's say you get alpha struck by a bunch of wraiths in a forest or something, it's going to be so difficult to fight them because they're melee and they have damage reduction from the terrain tiles, plus the invulnerability, plus they heal 4 per turn. Unless you have some really good damage and you can start focusing them down, it's going to be a very difficult battle against them in those kind of scenarios. So I find them to be very tricky for that reason, and also they once again, because they're so mobile, they're the one, I guess, infantry that we're talking about that has the exception to needing a transport, because they move faster than transports and don't pass through terrain. You can basically and units, they have that advantages that even transports don't have. So they're almost like an infantry that you can treat like a flyer if you really think about it, right?
Yeah.
They move through units, they move through terrain unimpeded. So they're very, very powerful in that regard.
I just I'll let you keep going. I just have to for 30 seconds I gotta do something real quick, but I'll be right back.
No problem. I'm just gonna take a look at the Astra Militarum army here. Take a look at his upgrades. I see he has the camo netting going. Yep. This is the standard route you go. He actually went for recovery gear as well, which is an added bonus. Looks like he's got a composition. It's going to be heavier on the Leman Russes from the looks of it, with a support of course, your tech priests, which actually, I'm quite surprised that tech priests don't have the accuracy armor upgrade right now. That is a little bit surprising, but that's something he may pick up later on. However, I will admit that Astra Militarum has quite a busy tech tree, and there's a lot of things that you want to get, so oftentimes there are things you'll have to sacrifice. Now, I do like the idea of having the Sentinels with the army for that scout ability that you just noticed. It can make or break engagements. So I gotta commend him for that. It is very, very useful to have with your force. He's got the 2 basilisks, which will give him some anti-infantry bombardment capabilities, which will come in use versus fragile infantry like Eldar, for example.
And I'm back. Yeah, so it looks
nice.
like Red is kind of inching forward here.
Yeah, he is going forward, and I just noticed that, for example, his tech priests don't have the accuracy buff on them.
Oh wow, yeah. I think that's a big well, I definitely think if you're going vehicle, that's like almost automatic skill to get. Yeah, because it just increases your damage in your by a lot. Yeah,
because standard guardsmen have a fairly low ballistic skill compared to some of the more elite races in Warhammer 40,000 universe. Their accuracy is only 50%. So if you can upgrade that by 2 points, it'll go. The weapon accuracy on your vehicles will go from 6 to 8.
I will make one note here, just as I'm seeing, his ore economy is plus 36. That's not gonna. He's gonna fizzle out economic wise with the the tank making of the tanks. He needs to be like, I would say at this stage of the game, like to keep producing tanks like the way he's producing, he needs to be close to 60 to 70 ore per turn.
Yeah, you're right.
So he's gonna eventually he's gonna kind of fizzle out on the production because he needs to get that ore up a lot more.
He's gonna have to cut tank production at some point.
At some point, yeah.
In the near future, I would say you want to cut it at above around like 25, 30. That way, you still have enough ore to be able to get the buildings that you need as soon as possible to kind of get that tank production going. Now he is fixing his energy problem, which is basically at 0 right now.
Yeah.
Adding another manufactorum, which is not the play in my eyes. I mean, it would be the play if like you said, he had a 60, 70 or a turn, which he currently does not. So that manufactorum is going to be wasted production. It's just simply going to be sitting there for a little while. But he is building energy buildings in both bases, so that's going to help with that. However, he's still going to be very low on the ore. So he's going to need another 1 to 2 production cycles of ore buildings in order to help with that basically deficiency at the moment. Now, I am a little surprised that he's building manufactorums in his ore, which what I would consider is his ore specialty base.
Right. Right.
I would prefer the manufactorums in the base that has the tech tile the tech outpost, or possibly the actual relay pipes, just because his base is only a cap of 6 pop, and I would like to utilize every population that I can normally for the maximum benefit on my actual ore tiles. But to counter that point, that base is unfortunately on a winter tile, which means I think they're probably only going to be around 1.
So one thing I will say too, also, if we go to the far right, where John, the Chaos player, and Necron, the Jesus player, the Hellbrutes are actually a decent matchup for the Canoptic race, but I mean the Heavy Destroyers are definitely a counter to the Hellbrutes. Now he has in this area, he has like 2 that are somewhat close. The third one's a little bit farther away. Now, are they upgraded? Let me see. He doesn't have the upgrade for the Heavy Destroyer. But yeah, I think what we're noticing in this game, that a lot of the players are missing like vital upgrades and skills like that make their units perform a lot better. But it's on both sides, so it kind of evens itself out. But like I think if the skill level is at that same level, and if one side is getting the proper upgrades, then the other side's gonna most likely win the trades, because the that little bit more, 1/3 or more damage does make a difference when you're equally trying to trade units.
It's supposed to add up very quickly. You're right.
Yeah. But in this game, it's like both teams are sort of kind of neglecting some key techs.
I agree. And we're going to see what kind of an impact that's going to have. Now, I am a little bit worried about Jonathan's army at the moment, because he has a couple of Hellbrutes that are damaged. And he has no way of healing them right now. He did not take.
But check out this damage from the Hellbrute. Like, they're very good against Canopta Race. Like 7.3 is pretty respectable. If he MOP buffs that, that's going to be maybe almost dead. So he is committing with this Wraith here. Now he might just use it as, okay, come kill this Wraith, but he doesn't have enough in this area for a counterattack. I guess somewhat. If he brings that other Heavy Destroyer where the Trader is down, it'll be a little bit better. But I don't know if it'll be in the movement range of it for the next turn will be enough to get to the Hellbrutes. I think it's still too far. So I think he only has 2 Heavy Destroyers in the counter attack position, which would have been, if he had 3, I think that would have been much nicer.
I would like to see 3 to 4 possibly at this point.
Okay, so he's moving 1 a little bit closer. That's kind of dangerous because the Hellbrutes could sort of get the alpha on it, but it's hidden. Now, a smart thing would be to take, if you had a Chaos Spawn to go, eat the Overwatch with. He doesn't have any Cultists, which is another kind of a flaw I see. Yeah, because you need something to eat the Overwatch. Now you just have these big Hellbrutes, but if they walk into Heavy Destroyers, they're going to take some big damage. I will say this though. Like I said, the matchup, the Canoptic Race is not a good matchup against the Hellbrutes. But he is using these Scarabs to kind of slow them down a bit. So it might work out for the Necron player, because now you can't get 2 there's less maneuver work for the Hellbrutes to hit these Canoptic Race. But he does have the level 5 MOP with the level 3 Inferno Power. So that might be enough to just one-shot each Wraith here. So we'll see. But his Hellbrutes are like half-life. So that's another...
This is a big problem.
Yeah. If he had the Warp Smith, remember we talked about the Warp Smith? Those could have been all healed right now. So
this is the big problem. I see him getting outlasted in this battle because he has no way of healing these Hellbrutes. This is a big problem. And now, the other big thing I want to talk about is basically having transports for your infantry not just allow you to have the mobility, like we said, but allows you to save units and allow them to heal inside, which allows you to have what I call elite units. The units that are leveled above level 3, 4 become kind of like elite, and they do higher damage and they have higher health pools, which actually scale amazingly well. And that allows you.
Okay,
to
fight or flight for John. It looks like he powered up. He Goku
Yep.
Super Saiyan here.
Against the wall. Yeah,
He's
power
gonna
level
fight
down.
this because if he was retreating, I don't think he would Super Saiyan here. So looks like he wants to fight this. He does not have the one shots. I think partly because he's shaken right now. If he can, he does actually. Sorry, he has one Hell Brute that does one shot. The middle Canoptic or the. Okay, he makes a Chaos Spawn, not bad. All right, so he's back in the blue with the two. Yeah, he doesn't quite one shot the healthy Wraith in the middle there, but he does one shot the other one. But he can get another health, the level 3 that's behind or that's near.
Yeah.
He can move it into the ruins and then he can kill that. But like I said, obviously he's trading way better. He got lucky there, creating the Chaos Spawn to eat the Overwatch shot of the Heavy Destroyer. That was, I mean, it was a hidden Heavy Destroyer, so that was kind of, that worked out for John big time. So I will give props to John. I mean, it paid off. I mean, I called it. I said the Wraiths are not a good battle against Hellbrutes. Like, you don't want to take that matchup. But Jesus wanted to kind of try to overwhelm. But, he broke out of it and just smashed these Wraiths. So definitely I got a win for John in this engagement. I think mainly because just of the such terrible matchup, right? I mean, Wraiths are just not a good unit to try to harass Hellbrutes. Hellbrutes are going to make Wraiths do less damage. They have Flail, increase the melee damage reduction. That's 33% for melee damage reduction.
Correct. They counter melee damage quite a lot. Now, he could have simply just pulled his Wraiths back and not have them get killed by the actual Hellbrutes because he has a lot of Scarabs that he can zone with. So I would have liked him to just pull back, get the Scarabs to maybe feed a couple Scarabs if you have to, and just get a couple Heavy Destroyers out. Because once you get to around 4 or 5. And then you can throw some chaff like Scarabs in the front. It'll become very difficult for the Chaos to kind of engage on you. And you can do some really heavy damage and start focusing down those Hellbrutes, especially since Jonathan is missing the sustain that he will need in that army.
Yeah, and the other funny part is, you have these Dark Reapers sort of just at the base. I guess they need to heal a little bit, so that makes sense. But yeah, I like that move. Have the Hell Brute screening the Dark Reaper. That I like. I don't know if they planned that out, but that's a nice maneuver. That you have a Cliff Dark Reaper with a Hell Brute in front. So I do like that move. What's interesting is you basically have two different theaters here. You have the Astra Eldar top left theater of war, and now you have the Necron and Chaos theater of war in the mid right. So if one theater gets lost, there's still that opportunity in the other theater, right? So you could have Chaos winning the battle in the mid right, but then you could have Astra winning the battle in the top left. So then it becomes kind of like both kind of players are getting eliminated, and then it goes almost into a 1v1. So I don't know if we're going to see that, but we're sort of seeing multi theaters going off here. So Astra is pushing the tanks forward, smoking up. Kids don't smoke, stay in school.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him actually pull one tank out of his formation so far up like that. I think I would have just generally preferred for him, his force to move as a ball. because generally the Astra Militarum force is a force. They have units that are specialized in certain roles, and they work best when they're close together, able to kind of support each other. I also, once again, I know, yeah, like we mentioned, people don't seem not to like building the actual mixed forces. But once again, I have to make an argument for this composition, like I did for Jonathan's composition, is they would be greatly benefit if they had guardsmen in front.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan would greatly be benefited by a Chaos Cultist who can clear tiles and can basically zone for your Hellbrutes. Because you know, these fire
Eat the
dragons, for
overwatches of
example,
the heavy destroyers. Yeah, John's very lucky because I'll just tell you this: most Necron players like to go a little bit heavy on the heavy destroyers as a counter to heroes, as a counter to what we're seeing, Hellbrutes, Rhinos, and this Necron player went very light on the destroyers. So he kind of, in my opinion, he dodged a bullet, because if the Necron player had built a significant force of heavy destroyers, he would have just got wrecked, because like I said, his army is just literally Hellbrutes. And that's a rock, paper, scissor matchup, basically.
Absolutely. Now, for example, the same situation here for the actual Astra Militarum. He's got pure vehicles, and you know, the Eldar basically has
He's a lot of
these,
fire dragons, yeah.
Fire dragon, which
Yep.
are a perfect counter to that. Now, if he had guardsmen in front of that tank, guess what? The fire dragons can't. do anything to
But
them.
one thing to note, he does not have the fire dragon. There's like an accuracy and damage upgrade. He does not have that, and
the crack shot tech at the moment, which is a big damage increase.
huge damage increase. Now the bad part is you got a smoke screen tank on an outpost, so that's giving the smoke damage reduction and also the outpost damage reduction. So even a fire dragon, although it's not fully upgraded, isn't doing a whole ton of damage even.
That's true.
So that's another negative, right? Now here's the thing: you might, people watch this might say, well, how do you really fight an Astra tank army? The key thing is killing that first vehicle, because what it usually means is when you kill a tank or whatever, that's usually a big death experience moral loss, which will trigger shatter or broken.
Shaken.
Or shaken, sorry. I always get that confused. So yellow is shaken, red is broken. And once you get it into the red, it's so much easier killing the vehicles. Like, they go down really quick. So that is sort of the key, in my opinion. Now, it's going to be hard to kill that one tank that's with smoke plus on the outpost, especially without the upgrade.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to note, I mean, Eldar is one of my mains, but I would just say this. Having that Atrarch hero buff your accuracy makes a big difference, too, on how your damage is. Your damage does go quite up more with that hero.
I agree with you once again, and once again, I am quite surprised at the lack of heroes in these army compositions. If you click on for example, the Necron player, look at how many, look at what valuable items he found this game.
Oh my gosh, he's got a treasure trove.
Treasure chest. I mean, this guy found literally.
He looted the new continent basically, and came back to the Empire, and the Queen rejected his gifts basically.
Yeah, with coffers full of gold over here, and for him to not to build a Lord, which actually gives Necrons a huge economic booster, and is actually a perfect complement to the infantry army that he's fielding right now. With that +2 armor aura. So for him to not even build one Lord to take advantage
and let's talk about this, because maybe some players aren't familiar with this, but one thing to take note is teching into a hero in the later parts of the game isn't a terrible thing, because let me tell you something. When you build that hero, it time scales with the turn that you're in. So when that hero comes out, it does get experience based on the turn that you're in. So that hero might come out as a level 3, level 4 later in the game. So again, it's not when you build them early in the game, they come out usually level 0, level 1, and you have to kind of experience them up a bit. So again, like you're saying, you got all these items. It's not such a crazy thing to be like, oh, I'm just gonna go get my tier 1 tech and build the building, and then build a Lord, or build a Cryptek, or whatever you want. I mean, you got a lot of good items here to utilize. And those heroes do make a big change in how
They're
your
huge.
battle's going. Yeah.
Yeah, especially especially when you see a big tank force like the Astra has, a Cryptek would be able to make sure that that first tank that we're talking about is so much harder to kill. Because
Right.
imagine that tank having a Cryptek buff on top of it now.
Oh
Imagine him
yeah,
having
forget about it.
20, 40, 60% invulnerability. Imagine the Cryptek being able to heal him from range 2 instead of a Tech Priest that only has range 1. This allows you to be much more safe. This allows you to have much more damage in those initial hexes instead of having to fill them up with Tech Priests, so on and so forth. So it gives you a lot of utility in this battle, and I think once again, I personally think it's a wasted opportunity because like we're saying, I think players are overvaluing just sheer numbers of units versus the actual value of each hex during a battle, and the fact that you have a very limited number of hexes that you can use.
Well-
And because
well,
you have a limited
you-
amount of hexes, you want to utilize those hexes to their highest efficiency, which means using hero auras, which means using sustain to make sure your units don't die, and all of the other things that we discussed earlier, right?
Well, I would say too, Falena, like the game that was played today with Demos and Ottoman, a good example is you had one team go no heroes, but a bigger death ball. You had the other team with a smaller death ball, but with heroes. And the amazing part was, it showcased that your army could be a little bit smaller, but if you use those heroes effectively, it becomes to a point where you can almost, you're benefiting with that more powerful type of like heroes are very strong units as they level up, and especially when you itemize them. So I think what happened in that game is once the first engagement was going equal on both sides, the heroes sort of put the Russians over the top and push Demos and Patrol back. I think it was mainly the heroes that kind of did it for them. But that's just showcasing that, some people think, oh, it's a waste of time building heroes. You can have that opinion, fine, and that's the beauty of this game. You can play the game how you want to play it, but there's also, players in this game that use heroes very effectively and win many games due to the hero that they're using. I do see there is two camps to it. There are purists out there that just believe heroes slow down your mass death ball. But I'm in the camp of I like heroes. I think they bring out a lot of interesting things to factions half the time, and a lot of times it can sometimes catch your opponent off guard, like what you're doing with those particular heroes.
Yeah, I'm basically along the same lines of thought. Like I said, because of the terrain of this game, because of how the engagements happen, you only have a limited amount of hexes that you can use. Therefore, I like to make sure that the units that utilize those hexes can operate to the maximum of their efficiency, which means I want hero aura buffs, accuracy buffs, damage reduction buffs, whatever I can do to make that to squeeze every last drop of juice out of that unit is kind of what I really enjoy about the game.
So we're seeing an interesting play here. Eldar has moved the Fire Dragon to cover and shot the Bastion. Now I will just say this though, losing a Bastion, you're not going to cry over it. It's basically kind of a free generated unit that just costs you some ore. And in some case, it's like, well, he might kill the Bastion, but now he's going to lose a Fire Dragon, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
So
it is definitely a trade that is in the favor of the Astra player. I mean, he still has, well, I guess right now he doesn't have other Bastions because he only has 2 Tech Priests here, so he's going to have to wait on the cooldown. However, just like you said, those Bastions don't cost a lot. And that's something that he's willing to do. Him putting that Bastion there was more of like a kind of a, here, come forward, try to take this Bastion out, and I'll see what you're willing to sacrifice for it, kind of a play.
But I will say this. Like you said, we're seeing an Astra army that hasn't got to additional bolter yet. And I think they're in a really bad position to deal with like Fire Dragons, like because they might be able to get their models down a little bit, but it's gonna be he's gonna have to use a lot of his Astral Militar army just to kill one group of fire dragons. And so I definitely give the advantage to the Elder player at the moment. But yeah, as soon as additional bolter comes online, definitely it's going to kind of swing back to Astra.
Ooh, this is not optimal. One problem I see the Astral Militarum player having here that he did not plan for, unfortunately, is that he's building a farm. He's building a farm on a minus 20% food tile. That is not something you want to be doing. He's also missing the tech for the radius increase.
Yeah, I'm not even sure why you even want to build a farm. You're not building infantry. I understand it's going to slow the growth of your cities, but this city's on cap. This city's at full growth. So
exactly.
Yeah, and the other city is it's like 10 pop, and you only require 8 at the moment. So you're not in threat of going into the. Yeah, so it is kind of an odd play. I mean, you don't really need it. You're not going infantry, and your city's already grown pretty much. But yeah, good call out there. So now we're gonna see Astra and Necron's turn. So we sort of got a siege going on Necron a little bit, not a full like committed siege, but like outside the city gates basically. And Astra is going to try to kill these fire dragons, but like I said, I think they're going to dedicate too many units just to kill one, and then what's going to happen is the fire dragons are going to attack again and kill 2 or 3 more units of Astra.
Yeah, that is a very high possibility. Now, I just wanted to point out that we do have a Warpsmith on the way. Good on Jonathan to get that Warpsmith out. I hope he comes out for a level 3 for his sake. That would be awesome. And now we have the Forge Fiends rolling out. He is having a humongous ore problem right now. So after these Forge Fiends come out, he is literally going to be running on fumes. He's got plus 16 ore per turn. That is not where you want to be. Now, one thing I'm wondering about is whether he's going to get the tech that decreases his expansion, because the third city for Chaos is very expensive. It's 120, which is a humongous, economic toll. So if he's willing to expand at this point, I would highly recommend him to grab the tech that's going to cut that cost down and save you 120 resources.
So
at this point in the game, which would be a lot for him in his current economic situation.
So one thing really good what the Astral player did, he used grenades with his guardsmen to take out the fire dragon with some support, and then and then he's almost got that guardian finish. He was able to kill the guardian down here, or sorry, the fire dragon down here. So definitely Eldar is starting to decline in power here, because he's losing, like, basically what he needed to do is, like, he needs to delete like 3 or so units compared to just one of his units every turn, and eventually he's going to win the battle. But that's not actually happening, because like I said, those 2 guardsmen were pretty clutch to help deal with the ones in the ruins, and then he was able to focus fire on that other fire dragon. Again, also, if he had that upgrade, I think he'd be able to do a lot more damage to the vehicles, which he does not.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate at the moment. And so it's kind of, once again, I mean, having a hero here, I think would be a
and
really
also
big
warlocks. Let me just say, I talked about this at my beginning of the stream, but warlocks actually do decent damage to like the scout sentinels, to I think they do, I gotta check it, but I know they have canoptic camo netting. I don't know if their special cleansing fire is a different damage type if it avoids the camo netting. I think so. I'm not sure in my memory, but if it does, like I said, warlocks would have been a really good choice. The thing I want to mention is there was a gate, which was a desert gate relay pipe. So we're talking, he could have mass warlocks to the cows go home. And he could even help Jonathan siege Necron with teleporting warlocks. He chose not to get that. He went to a third base, which dumbfounded me, because he's not going vehicles. You look at his ore resources. He's got 178 in the bank and 38 per turn. You don't need that type of ore for a mono build infantry build, which he's going. If it was a mixed build with Wave Serpents, okay, fine. I'll stand down, but I just feel like that was a big missed opportunity. Because I really believe Warlocks are huge. I think they're such a versatile unit. But anyways, John is making a siege push here. How do you think that's going for him?
Well, so far, I see John's army doing very well against, once again, this Necron Forge that unfortunately is not has not been constructed very well to deal with this heavy vehicle chaos army.
He does have four heavy destroyers in counter position. So what I expect next turn, he might use those 4 to kill 1 or 2 Hell Brutes, which could be
they are missing some upgrades that I would like to see on
right.
them.
The atomic flares. He needs that. He didn't get that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. However, I still think 4 will be enough to start giving John
To
some
push
issues
John
now.
back, maybe.
Yeah, to at least create some breathing room for him. Now, John will have the actual Warpsmith on the way. I sometimes think about remembering the turns for myself as to what levels heroes come out at. Because if you can delay your hero coming out by maybe 1 or 2 turns and getting him at level 3 instead of level 2, I think it may be worth it to turn off the hero building for 1 or 2 turns and just, you know, turn it back on and maybe get that hero coming out at level 3. That way, when he comes to your front line, he may even be able to pick up an extra item or 2 depending on your influence bank and whatnot. So yeah, that battle is going to be very interesting to see how that pans out and how much damage those heavy destroyers can do. The only issue he's going to have is the line of sight issue, and can he get those heavy destroyers to fire without getting one-shotted by the Hell Brutes in return is going to be the big question here. And if he can manage that, he's going to be in a good place as far as that battle goes.
Yes.
Now, you made a very good observation about the Eldar predicament here, and maybe the choice of taking an ore base was a problem for the fact that he doesn't really need that ore with the army composition that he's going, and for the other fact that it's a very forward base. And because Austromilitan is a very slow-moving army, I think you know, having a forward base like that makes it a very easy target for them as they're just creeping their way forward across the map.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a liability for them at the moment. And instead of expanding towards his ally, he expanded away, unfortunately. So that's why he's going to be having these issues at the moment.
So another Hell Brute goes down.
Oh, indeed they did. Okay. Okay. I
Canoptic Wraith going for the Dark Reaper. Not enough damage. Scarab is just going to be hatched. I guess it's going to go against the Forge Fiend. Slow down the Forge Fiend a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Why not? Sure. He's trying to kind of separate his force, separate that force, and delay them so he can have more time on the Hell Brutes.
The MOP is ready to go Super Saiyan, though.
That is actually true.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I mean, but I think, like, if I'm John, I want to kill those heavy destroyers. Those are the biggest threat. You're okay. We got a Canoptic, just kind of tickling the MOP.
I like to play from the Necron, start maybe threatening the Master Possession a little bit. Because
make him a little scared. Okay.
He's naked, actually. That's a naked Master Possession.
Yeah. Bum rush him. Bum rush him with Canoptic Grace.
But if he gets 3-4 rates on him, man, that Master will
yeah,
go
it's down. Yeah, 100%. You're right.
Even if he had the healing.
MOP, okay, MOP is going close to the base here. I guess he's gonna Super Saiyan.
He wants to use the tiles. He wants to use the units around it to take up the tile. So
Hero Scarab bogging down the Hell Brute there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he doesn't have the full kind of Oh, level 6. Okay, that was huge. Now he can summon and buff that summon. Oh, and he high rolled into Helldrake.
Oh, you just
Okay.
won the lottery right
He won the
I call
lottery
that
there,
a
and
lottery
he
there.
got the buff off on it as well. So that's
The the Helldrake is one of the best air units in the entire game.
so.
I would
Here's
argue-
the thing. I don't know if John sees it, but if he can demoral the Necron army a little bit, he can one shot this destroyer. He just had to get it into the shaken.
Okay, gotcha.
So if he deletes something. Okay, so now it should one shot. Yep, see, one shot. The Hell,
Oh, very nice.
the Hell Brute can one shot the Heavy Destroyer. And then he can get his Chaos Lord inside the base hacks. And then I
Yes,
think he can then kill the other. I'm not sure. Can he kill the other? No, he doesn't kill the other. But maybe whack the city, I guess. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I would actually just simply damage the other heavy destroyer, allow him to possibly just go. If you kept one shot it, damage it.
No! Oh, what he missed. I think he misplayed.
That was a big misplay.
Because he
that
could have got
Helldrake-
he could have got into the base X, and the Hellbrute could have.
The Hellbrute should have finished the heavy destroyer, just like you're saying. And
Yeah.
then the Chaos Lord, or even the actual Forge Fiend, could have literally taken that spot and started.
Because here's the thing, I see what John's mindset is he wants the damage on the city, but here's the problem: you have two Canoptic Spiders that are going to heal the base next turn for 16 health, right? Is it? Let me see, how much health is it?
It's
Yeah,
8 per turn.
12.
But it's
Oh, sorry, yeah, 8 per 16 health. Yeah, 16 health. And now your Super Saiyan is gonna have to wait 3 turns to do it again. And then and the biggest thing is the counter to his army right now are the destroyers.
maybe just-
So if you get rid of them, then your units are going to be alive to attack the city. So, but he did high roll on Mr. Helldrake, so I think that is that's
That
pretty
is a
nice.
saving grade. And you know what? I will say he did enough damage to that base to do economic damage to the Necron player himself. So that will start to take its toll on his production and everything. As you noticed, his production is down now from the damage already. Heavy Destroyer now is taking, for example, 6 turns to build. Oh wow! So this base has suffered greatly as far as production capabilities go.
Yeah, and we got some action going on. Fire Dragon's being deleted over on the
wow,
Western
yeah.
Theater.
Yeah, so now, Eldar's having a really tough time here. Like we said, I think having that
Artillery
really,
softening them up, and then
yeah, and then he's gonna deal with to just simply put them down with Lehman Rust or Sentinel combo here.
yeah, use the Sentinel already. So I don't think he can delete this Fire Dragon, but he can bring it down to 1 model. Yeah, and the key to this battle is not losing the first vehicle. Like if he can kind of keep.
Oh, he's actually going for that Fire Dragon. And he will take it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
So he used the 2 lemons to take it. Okay.
He did expose his that one tech priest doing that, but I mean, the Eldar can go for it if he wants to, but he's gonna take too many casualties
Yeah.
anyway, so he is safe out there actually.
I mean, engineer for a Fire Dragon, I think it's a equal trade. They're both good units, so. But yeah, maybe a worse trade for Astra since they are healing his tanks. So yeah, you're. Very interesting. Like it's been an interesting game because we have literally 2 fights going off simultaneously, and the battles are kind of different results for each team basically.
Pretty much. So, which is actually really awesome.
But we are
because
seeing the dual healing from the spiders like we talked about. And then we're seeing focus fire from the heavy destroyers, which again, we were trying to point out that that's what Jonathan has to focus on. He needs, because now he's going to get pushed back. And then the other threat is Mr. M. Oh, MOP died. The MOP is dead.
Oh my god.
I missed that. Okay, like you said, the Canoptic race smothered him to death. and
They did.
that demoralized all the army there. So what a misfortune for John. I mean, it looked like he was smiling all the way to the bank, and then it completely turned south for him.
You know what? I had a like the way that he was, because this game has a big defender's advantage, especially in fast-paced game mode. Me and my friends don't play standard, and I would say even in standard the defender has a big advantage, but in the fast-paced, the defender has even bigger advantage because your units just come out that much faster, and your reinforcement is at your base where the battle's taking place. Not only do you have the defensive tiles advantage, but you have your units arriving instantly to the battle. So unless you have a really big advantage over your opponent, it's generally kind of tough to push that base. So for that reason, I would have liked Jonathan to go for the heavy destroyers like we initially talked about, because if he would have taken down the heavy destroyers to a number, let's say to only one, now there's not enough of a threat to pose to his army, and he can go for that base. Whereas he went for the base during a time where the enemy had a big damage output versus his army, and he's taken heavy casualties. He lost his level 5 naked master of possession, which is a huge loss there.
Yeah.
And he just lost his army's only biggest damage buff that he pretty much had. He's gonna get worn down here, and unfortunately, there's not much. He can't really even escape with these.
I mean, he's got a tankable Chaos Lord in cover, but still, I mean, all the Necron player has to do is kill the Hellbrutes, and he has full access to just knocking out the Chaos Lord. So. Now these Forge Fiends are making their way up there. Again, they are a really good unit, but again, as long as Necron is just mass producing these heavy destroyers, he'll just overwhelm these Forge Fiends.
He will win the battle of attrition if he keeps going at this pace. Now finally the Warpsmith is here, and he does have a level 2 heal, which will help a lot.
But is it little? It might be too late. Too little, too late. Exactly. Yeah.
A little too late. There's a heavily damaged Chaos Army. He can only heal one unit at a time, and the unit that he heals is just going to.
Well, I think this turn we're going to see a lot of his Hellbrutes die this turn.
Yes, it's going to be painful. Now, at the flip side of the coin, he did inflict some economic damage to the Necron. So that is the one benefit that he did achieve for a little bit. However, once again, it's not really enough because that's not his only production base. The Necron has another production base right behind it to the east. So he's actually even adding more summoning cores. So he's a triple summoning core there with the actual Core of Defiance upgrade, which increases his production further. He's going to add a fourth one. Now, I mean, he's going to get out of control, man. He's going to be able to produce those heavy destroyers literally every turn.
So he has a heavy destroyer in the back that can take out this level 6. I don't know if he sees it, the orange player. Jesus. So that would be wise for him to utilize that, since it can't really do too much back there besides... yeah. Astra is just poking away at these infantry every turn.
I don't think the heavy destroyer has enough moves.
And here's another thing the Astra player might have should have started doing. Start shelling the base with your artillery. Eldar doesn't have healing for bases except for the rare situation where they have a Spirit Seer hero, which in this case he does not. That base is going to eventually take more economic damage. It's a production base of his. So, you know, it's got 2 barracks.
I totally agree with you. When I'm sieging an Eldar base,
so he didn't use the heavy destroyer in the back. I think that was kind of because you could free up if you use the one in the back. You could free up more heavies. But again, he's deleting the Hellbrutes still. But you know, to min max it though.
Keep it Overwatch. But if he moved that Canoptek Spider back, the level 4 Canoptek Spider back 1 tile,
I think he would have got one more Hellbrute kill if he would have just used the.
Would have, yeah.
Because he would have had one more heavy available to hit.
Yeah.
But
Oh wow, now he's even focusing the actual Heldrick itself.
Yeah, it's. I would have just kept it in Overwatch, but
Yeah, me too. Especially since the summon is only gonna last 2 more turns, but that's fine. Okay, the Scarabs are gonna do a little damage to that. Halberd, oh my god, he's at 1 health right now. Amazing.
yeah,
Won't be living for too long at this point. And he's getting zoned by these Scarabs as well.
yeah. So he is not going to be able to reach the Warp Smith for sure. But the one in the outpost will be able to go back and heal.
Okay. Chaos is still only at around 20 ore per turn, which is literally nowhere near where you want to be at this point in the game. You're at turn 48. You want to be at 50, 60 ore per turn at least. And what worries me is the fact that he's at 20 ore per turn after losing almost his entire army. That's the most worrying part of this all of this.
Oh,
because
oh my goodness, you're right. Now, yeah, his late game eco is not there.
no.
I mean, if like you're saying, if it's a battle of attrition where you're trading sort of equally with your opponent, you're just gonna get outproduced. Because it looks like Necron, 55 energy per turn, so he's still good to kind of chug out these cheap destroyers, which are countering your mono vehicle build. So
yeah, exactly. And this is once again hammering upon the point that we made earlier, why it's so important, because rock paper scissors is so easy to counter. Having a hybrid army will basically, rock paper scissors.
Well, especially if you're doing a 1v1 matchup, which is sort of what's happening over here, right? It's a 1v1 matchup. But yeah, I agree with you, Falana. So, okay.
All right. Well, Jonathan's just, he's tunnel vision at this point. He's like, I'm all or nothing.
Yeah,
And,
he wants to push this.
The goal. He's going for the goal right now, boys, and the goal is the Necron base. So he is going for the heavy destroyers, which is good. I want to see him try to take out as many of them as possible right now. That will help him a lot. But once again, this army is running on fumes. He's got one more Forge Fiend that can hit the front line in 3 turns, which at this point in the game is going to feel like an eternity. And once that happens, he's going to have no units that are going to be able to come for a while, because 20 ore per turn is minuscule at this point in the game. Now, at the top, we still see this brutal siege that is happening on the Eldari base here, and the Eldar forces have just been absolutely decimated to a measly few.
They've been getting shelled pretty aggressively.
Yeah, indeed. There's literally
Deathmark just
breathing down their necks.
Deathmark just KO'd the Hellbrute right. The sniper scoped the Hellbrute right in the face.
Yeah.
Again, so the summon's gonna go the way of the turn. It's almost pointless if you can't kill it, don't even shoot it. It's just gonna disappear.
That's right.
Then you have no Overwatch whatsoever. So level 6 Hellbrute being focus fired by City, and then Heavy Destroyer plus Sniper, I guess, will kill it.
Yeah. And of course, Scarabs doing their standard ankle biting business like always. Yeah.
So now, oh god, Digital Bolter has been researched. I think this is wraps for Eldar. If Eldar wasn't able to win the battle pre-additional Bolter, I don't see, and the fact that John can't get his production up to speed, he's not going to be able to help Eldar. This base is going to go down. He's going to lose a 2 barracks production, which will then limit his production for late game here down to only 3 production. And that's actually, sorry, I stand corrected. He has 2 more production in the other base, but again, losing the space does have his power, so he's going to lose a lot of power. It's the space has 2 power resources, so that's another problem he's going to wind up is now he has to build power, and he might go in the negative. So again, he has barely any units left. You have additional bolter tanks now. The production for the tanks have slowed down on Astra, just like we were saying. Remember, we said at some point he's not going to be able to keep producing the tanks. So he's down to just producing from one base a tank. So, you know, but at this point, he has the mini death ball. It's going to delete that elder base.
That's the death ball that cannot be contested, unfortunately. And so that death ball can.
Yeah,
just
the
keep
Forge
rolling
Fiends would have been
around.
amazing if they were over there supporting the Fire Dragons. But like you said, he's John's tied up with Necron.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going super great for John either.
Unfortunately, it is not. I see the Chaos Lord. Once again, this is one big challenge that Chaos has. Their units are very powerful, but they lack sustain in their army. You know, you do have a Warpsmith, but he can only heal 1 unit at a time. You have a Chaos Lord, which has no Duskblade on him, so he cannot heal off doing damage. He has no Master of Possession to heal him anymore. So it's just literally a matter of time before he either has to retreat, which you can't do with Scarabs and Wraiths.
What I always find is that I usually don't target a Necron base unless I know I can nuke it. Like nuking meaning I can literally do like 80% damage to the base. Because if I can't nuke it, I just focus on the units and focus behind the base, the spiders. Because once those spiders get taken out, then they don't have that healing mechanic happening every turn. Which, like I said, in this game, we saw John do the opposite. I don't think he had the nuke. He didn't have enough units that could reach out and touch the base. And we just, as we see now, it's the fully healed Necron base at this point. It looks like Alder has given up kind of on this base. I think he's teleporting units out now. And I guess he's going to make his last stand in his southern bases.
Blade here. I would have liked to see the Wraith Blade teleported out. I don't know which units he teleported out before the actual Wraith Blade, but that's the most valuable.
I mean, the Wraith Blade might buy the city one more turn of life, but...
Oh, I see. He has Guardians here just to kind of take up the tiles and buy more time. Okay.
But it's not going to pose too much a threat. I mean, he's got additional bolter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks, plus artillery.
Yeah.
But no machine spirit. Oh no, he finally picked it up. Oh no, he did not. Sorry. Yeah, no machine spirit. So I don't know. That to me is like almost borderline blasphemy. Like
It is.
It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. I'm not trying to mock these players. It's just more of like if I'm playing Astra, I have to have that skill. Like there's no way I'm not going to get that if I'm going tanks.
I have so much respect for the Omnissiah himself that I wouldn't dare use vehicles without his blessings. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just blasphemy.
You gotta blast. You gotta bless
to
it.
the religion itself. You know what I mean? So lore-wise, it's just unacceptable for me as well. But you know, all jokes aside, it is very, very powerful, and you know, having these high value units like Leman Russ's, being able to do bonus damage is a win-win situation.
So Orange is going for a chaos snipe here. Sorry to interrupt. I guess the question is, did Orange calculate this out? Because here's another thing. You can take the time and calculate your damage. Some players do it, some players don't. But let's see. He is going for it. So I assume that he calculated the damage. But like I said, there's some players that play this game that just kind of, you know, go for it.
He's dead. He's done.
Yep.
He's finished. Easily. He'll easily.
Yeah, he's got the damage. Yep.
Each heavy destroyer does 2 damage, and then the base does another 2. And he has snipers also on standby.
Yep.
That can move.
So I think losing the Chaos Lord, boom, demoraled, oil your Forge Fiends. No MOP to give that huge Alpha Strike potential anymore, and the Forge
No, it's
Fiends
just
don't are not in mass enough to push back the mass of destroyers.
Yeah, there's simply not enough Forge Fiends at this point to make enough of
All right.
damage. And
So I wonder, are we gonna get a GG out of them? Like maybe,
you know what? I would think it's just gonna be. I would think it's gonna be a short matter of time because if they were winning the battle on at least one of the two
yeah,
fronts
one
that
front.
we're currently spectating,
Definitely, I think it's
I would say, you know what, there's still a chance. But because they're literally getting whittled
losing
down
on
and they
both
have
fronts
failed,
now.
yeah, losing on both fronts. Jonathan failed the only objective.
Two
that he was
heroes gone, by the way, as well.
2 heroes gone, which is a huge, late game, basically a blunder, and a huge late game setback as far as the viability of that.
And also,
hero
Astra
farm.
has secured the loyalty relic, so that's also going to help his economy too.
Yeah, Astra's going to be able to rebound and basically recover his economy, whereas unfortunately, I'm sorry, but the Chaos will not. He's in too much of a hole at the moment. His
Yeah,
entire army's
it's the production is not going to be there for late game. I mean,
34 turn. It is absolutely bad right now. It is sad to see.
I think it boils down to like he needed to get that third city. Like if he wanted to scale into the late game, he needed that third city. I think that's the main issue. But there was a lot of issues. Like, I mean, if you rewatch my early stream, I point out a lot of things I thought were sus, sort of in the early stages of the game. But both players, I think, they played a good game. They gave it their all, and it was an interesting game to commentate. You had two fights going off simultaneously, two different sort of matchups happening, different tactical approaches from each team and unit compositions, but
big mistakes. They're really they're really fumbling hard now. I mean, psychologically, it looks like the team that's losing right now, unfortunately, is making all the wrong moves. For example, he couldn't even take a squad of guardsmen now, even though he used 3 units to try to kill it. Now I know the actual Eldar base itself has a blast weapon, which he should have used first.
And then yes, correct.
And then the wraith blades would have actually killed them or the guardians. But because he messed up the actual order of succession, which I must admit I still do to this point in the game, I try to really get better at it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
check that weapon tool.
That unit would have been dead. Yes, exactly. Check that weapon tool to be patient with your trigger finger, as I like to call it.
I sometimes pretend like all my cities sort of have blasts because I'm so. Yeah, it does happen to players sometimes. They don't realize, oh yeah, it has blasts. Yeah, you always want to do blast first.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And yeah, so even if by some miracle the Eldar's base survived, the economic situation that they're just in right now would not translate to a very good late game with the
I mean, here's the thing, right? There's no like Hail Mary, there's no like secret transport army sort of trying to ninja attack one of them, like I say, in this position it looks extremely bad for Team John and GHB. What they would need in this position, honestly, to come back is a Hail Mary. And what a Hail Mary to me is like some like commando Navy SEAL suicide mission. Just sneak it by somewhere where they don't notice you and try to kill their base. To try to come back in this game somehow. But yeah, we're not seeing any sort of commando unit.
About the 2 base, I do believe if you want to go for an aggressive push, I do believe the 2 base has an advantage over the 3 base for the reason that, especially for Chaos, because you cannot get because Chaos expansion reduction tech is further in the tree. I believe it's tier 5 or 6. Because it's so late in the tree, you get it much later. So if you want to go be aggressive early and only go 2 base, that can have an advantage. But the issue is if you're gonna do an early rush with chaos, I don't think going vehicles is the way to do it. Because it's an army that's very predictable. It's very easy to counter, as we're basically being taught by the Necron player here very well. This is basically a master class on how to counter, an actual vehicle army, being displayed right in front of our
Right.
eyes. So I want to give John some credit as to going 2 base. It is viable. It does have a place in the game because 2 bases go down very quickly. It's cheaper, and 2 base doesn't run into the loyalty problems that a 3 base starts running.
Right.
into
2 base
early.
can be a really good rush, like if you're trying to go for a really aggressive production early rush, which I don't. Jonathan wasn't going, but yeah.
Which is what's kind of peculiar about this. But all I'm saying is it does have a place in the game, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Lost One and VRP, one of them or sometimes both have done 2 base builds, and they're definitely viable. Like it's not one of
They're
these things
viable.
like, oh, you're a noob,
Yeah.
you're doing a 2 baser, because everyone talks about 3. No, there is definitely builds for 2 base. And like you said, specifically, it kind of favors a very aggressive production early, and low loyalty to increase that raw production quickly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. And yes, the Russians, especially VRP and last one is it have done a great job utilizing those 2 base early game, which is very well.
Which we have some videos of it. So if you guys
Yes,
interested in
exactly.
seeing what it looks like, go watch those.
That's right.
Yeah. So and what's another really cool thing about this tournament environment is because the games are being cast and then later uploaded, it also it gives other teams an option to like study their opponents, right? So whoever wins
Sure.
a certain bracket, you could go and watch these games and kind of dissect sort of their play style, what they like to do. So we got in the chat, Lone Banana, we never retreat, we fight and we die. That's the Krieg way. So a little bit of some fun there from the winning team right now. I can imagine John and GHB are not having a great time right now.
Yeah. Definitely not. Losing is never, I guess you could say, the most fun experience. However, I think a good team will have the ability to get out of their feelings, remain stoic, remain positive, and say, okay, let's drag this on. Let's use these turns to the best of our ability to learn about the team, analyze while we're here. We know we can't turn this game around anymore, so let's just let it play out, though it's going to play out. Let's analyze this game. Let's learn as many lessons as we can before going into the next one. That way we download as much information as we can on our opponents, on our mistakes, and basically use that information in our next game.
You know what's funny, Felina? That what you're saying is what they sort of do in the pro scene when it comes to like say StarCraft and that. Some coaches and teams, they'll literally stay in the game just to get more information of like what they're playing or what they're doing. But that's kind of funny that you mentioned that. So we got good game there. So good game to the players. If we look at the graphs here, take a look at that. So total, you can see the winning team was sort of leading the charge there by the end game.
And that Necron economy.
Yeah, economy was great from Jesus, which was Necron, and then the blue was GHB. So yeah, but he had a lot of ore in his bank, which wasn't really using. So that's my main point. Like it just it was kind of it was
resources that were utilized, which is a problem.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what his big thing was, but we got military pretty even from old teams, but then you do see John kind of take a nosedive a little bit there at the end. Yeah. Hellbroot's got focus fired by heavy destroyers. Research Lone Banana sort of had an Arctic, I think, start, so he had a good research game. And that's going to wrap it up. So I want to thank Falana for joining me. So he's kind of a guest commentary. He's not going to commentary on every commentary, but definitely show him some love in the comments if you liked his side commentary. But I think it was interesting to get his perspective on things, because a lot of times I'm not seeing everything that's happening. So thank you, Falana, for joining me. And I guess I'll see everybody on whenever the next tournament game is, and it'll be posted.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having me. It was a really fun game to cast, and like you said, you can't see everything. Even with the two of us casting, it was tough to see it all with two fronts going at it. It was a very exciting game, and I really enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye everybody.
All right.